Welcome back to the deep dive. Today, we are strapping ourselves in and going deep into the future of how we actually get things done.
Yeah.
We're not talking about those old project management handbooks,
Yeah.
the ones built on fixed schedules, these really detailed plans made 6 months before anyone even lifts a finger.
Right.
We are exploring something new, a new paradigm.
Mm.
Systems that don't just react to change, but they're fundamentally built to self-evolve.
And this isn't some, theoretical idea anymore. It's an urgent necessity. Traditional project management, the kind that treats the plan as sacred, it just fails in today's environment. It's too dynamic.
How so?
Well, think about it. You have these rapid shifts in customer needs, disruptive new technologies popping up what feels like every week, and then there are the regulations that are constantly evolving.
So your plan is obsolete almost immediately.
Exactly.
Yeah.
When your plan is that fixed, it risks becoming irrelevant the very moment it hits reality.
So our mission today is to really examine this shift, this concept we're calling embedded change. The idea is that you transform adaptability from this a painful, expensive afterthought into an integral part of projects from the very beginning. We're looking at how organizations are building initiatives with continuous feedback loops, real-time data analysis, all these mechanisms for making small, incremental adjustments.
Letting the project evolve organically while it's actually running.
Precisely.
And the key takeaway for you right up front is this. Embedded change is really the ultimate shortcut to resilience and sustained value.
A shortcut.
Yeah. By designing flexibility right into the project's DNA, you don't just survive unpredictability, you actually ensure the project stays relevant, it stays competitive, no matter how much the goalposts shift.
Okay, let's unpack that.
Yeah.
I think we have to start by looking at the pitfalls of that classical model, because it did work, right? In a stable environment, say building a new bank branch 30 years ago, those ironclad milestones and late-stage audits were fine because the world moved slower.
It worked then. But now, the issues tend to surface way too late in that fixed schedule.
And when they do, I imagine the cost.
Oh, it's huge. And crucially, by the time your rigid 6-month review process finally identifies that the market has shifted, trying to implement those changes it's disruptive and wildly costly. You're on the steep side of that cost of change curve.
Like trying to turn a supertanker in a canal.
That's a perfect analogy. And corrections often happen late or even after the project is technically complete, at which point the outcome might not even align with the business priorities anymore because those have probably shifted too.
So you've delivered a perfect project, on time, on budget.
But it delivers zero value.
So the core issue is that every project starts with a set of assumptions.
And almost immediately, those assumptions are challenged. A new technology pops up, a competitor launches a game changer, user behavior just dramatically shifts. If your project has a fixed plan, it quickly becomes an exercise in just following instructions, not achieving real value.
Which brings us to this proactive approach. These self-evolving projects, they pivot from the get-go. They use ongoing feedback loops, data-informed decision points. The teams can make these small micro-corrections as the project unfolds.
And what's brilliant about this is, I think, twofold. One, it keeps tiny problems from escalating into those huge, expensive crises.
Right.
And two, and this is maybe more important, it invites teams to innovate and learn while the project is happening, not waiting for some retrospective months later when the information is stale.
So let's talk about resilience. We hear that word a lot. What's the non-obvious difference between building a resilient project and just, planning for 100 worst-case scenarios?
That's a great question. Planning for worst-case scenarios is defensive. It's expensive. Building resilience through embedded change, on the other hand, is proactive and opportunistic.
Opportunistic.
Yeah. It means flexibility isn't just about coping with uncertainty. It means the project is structured to capitalize on a new, unexpected opportunity that appears mid-execution. It allows you to pivot your ship toward a new revenue stream immediately, not wait until you've hit your original, now outdated destination.
That's a fantastic distinction. Okay, so if we want a project to be that opportunistic, to self-evolve, what are the actual building blocks? The source material lays out 4 core principles.
The first one is continuous feedback and learning. This is the foundation. It's more than just a technique. It's a commitment to building psychological safety and trust.
How does that work in practice?
Well, when you set up these continual feedback mechanisms, you're signaling to your staff that their voice is actually heard and that leadership is prepared to act on what they hear. That naturally just skyrockets employee engagement.
And the second principle is about making the feedback loops themselves adaptive. The term used is elastic, which I like.
It's a critical nuance, yeah. It means the loop itself has to respond to where you are in the project. Early on, you might prioritize more general feedback, team morale, readiness for the change.
High-level stuff.
Exactly. But as the project matures, the focus shifts. You don't need to ask about morale every day. Instead, you need specific deep dive feedback on things like the efficiency of a new tool or a particular workflow bottleneck. An elastic loop keeps the adjustments relevant.
Okay, so principle 3 must be about the tech that enables this. Responsive and dynamic feedback tools.
Right, and we aren't talking about the static annual employee review here. We're talking about pulse surveys, sentiment analysis of internal chats, dedicated listening platforms.
And these tools have to be modifiable in real time.
They have to be. If you suddenly see that half your team is struggling with a new system, you need to be able to instantly add new targeted questions about it. This instant diagnostic capability, that's the speed required for embedded change.
And that leads right into the final principle, number 4. Feedback-driven change. Or, I guess, actionable feedback.
Because it's all worthless otherwise.
Right. Feedback is useless unless it actually sparks a modification. The project has to plan for change.
And this demands total transparency from leadership. Leaders have to close the loop. They have to show everyone how employee feedback is shaping decisions. That transparency is the antidote to resistance. When people see their feedback leads to action, they keep giving good feedback.
Okay, I see the connection now. We're moving from principles to practice. Now that we have the mindset, what are the actual frameworks that support this?
Let's talk about 2 key ones. The first is Approved Project Finance, or APF. This is specifically for projects with high uncertainty and fast-changing conditions, which, let's be honest, is most of them now.
Okay, wait, I have to challenge this a bit. If APF lets the project scope change with each cycle, isn't that just a rebranding of scope creep? How do you stop that from becoming a huge cost and schedule sink?
That is a crucial and very valid question. The difference between APF and uncontrolled scope creep is the cyclical nature and the financial controls.
How so?
APF doesn't approve the entire project budget up front. It only approves financing for the next cycle.
Ah, so it financializes the uncertainty.
Exactly. You work in these repetitive cycles of plan, re-reflect, adjust. At the end of that reflect phase, you get stakeholder buy-in for the money for the next phase, based on what you just learned. Lessons are implemented on the spot.
That makes perfect sense. It forces adaptability without losing budget control. What's the second framework?
The second is the Dynamic Systems Development Method, or DSDM. It's an agile delivery method that's really well suited for these environments because it explicitly aims for rapid, flexible, and responsive management.
And DSDM uses some specific agile tools, right? Like Moscow, for prioritization.
It does. It has these key guiding principles like ongoing stakeholder engagement, but its real brilliance is in constraint management. It holds time, cost, and quality as constant.
Okay, let's define Moscow for everyone listening.
Absolutely. Moscow is an acronym: must have, should have, could have, and won't have. By keeping time, budget, and quality fixed, the only variable left to adapt is the scope, the coulds and shoulds. This guarantees you deliver the must-haves first, and only bring in the others if time allows. It stops you from chasing an infinite wish list on a finite timeline.
That's a powerful idea. By fixing time and cost, you force embedded change in the scope itself.
Go.
Okay, so frameworks are key, but the speed of change today, it demands digital intervention. How does tech enable these micro-adjustments?
This is where data really takes the wheel. AI-driven project analytics is a huge enabler. These AI applications are constantly scrutinizing project info in real-time, team velocity, resource burn rates, you name it.
And they don't just report risks.
No, they forecast specific slippages and proactively recommend immediate corrective actions.
So the AI doesn't just say, you're late. It says, you're late, and here are 3 ways to reallocate resources to fix it right now.
Precisely. It learns from past patterns and helps you make data-driven modifications without needing a week-long review meeting.
And for more physical projects like infrastructure or a new manufacturing line, the Internet of Things, IoT, must be instrumental.
Oh, absolutely. IoT sensors gather data directly from equipment and processes. That critical info feeds right into dashboards, allowing for immediate adjustments. You can fine-tune a machine's tolerance or redirect material flow without waiting for some scheduled bureaucratic review.
Then we have predictive analytics and risk forecasting tools. These are the things that spot bottlenecks before they even happen.
And that before is everything. These tools will forecast, for instance, that a key person is about to be 120% utilized next Tuesday. That allows a manager to reassign resources on Friday. It facilitates a fully adaptive, self-adjusting environment.
And lastly, even the tools we use every day are part of this. Your ClickUps, your Zoho projects, the workflow management software.
Yeah, they're automating the mundane stuff now. When you automate status updates and document versioning, you lessen that human effort wasted on admin. It frees up your teams to focus on continuous improvement, on problem solving, on finding those opportunities for change.
So we've got principles, frameworks, and tools. But we know from every deep dive we do, if the culture isn't right, none of it matters. What's the human element needed here?
This needs a fundamental cultural shift. A shift where adaptive thinking is not just accepted, but actively prioritized over rigid adherence to the original plan. You have to empower teams to challenge assumptions.
And the foundation for that has to be psychological safety.
It's everything. You have to foster an environment where people feel totally secure voicing concerns or questioning things mid-project without any fear of blame. That openness is your early warning system.
Beyond safety, you also need training and skills.
Of course, you have to equip teams with expertise in agile decision-making, scenario planning, dynamic prioritization, and not just through a lecture. It has to be practical hands-on coaching that embeds these practices in their daily work.
And you have to reward the behavior you want to see, incentivizing adaptation.
You have to. Reward systems need to recognize and celebrate the small wins, identifying an early risk, implementing a small corrective action. If you celebrate a team that hit an original deadline but delivered an obsolete product, you're sending the exact wrong message.
Leaders have to model this, though.
They have to. They need to actively seek feedback, admit publicly when adjustments are needed, and facilitate fast decision-making. If a leader punishes deviation from the plan, the whole adaptive culture just collapses.
And finally, let's circle back to reflection. We need to embed that during the process, not just at the end, these embedded after-action reviews, or AARs.
That's right. AARs are just structured reflection sessions, mini retrospectives integrated at regular intervals during the project. They capture lessons and address misalignments while the work is still live. You don't wait 3 months to learn how to fix a workflow problem. You fix it this afternoon.
It's all about continuous iteration built right into the process.
Yeah.
So to wrap this all up, if you're looking to future-proof your initiatives, it sounds like there are 3 core mandates. 1, adopt adaptive frameworks like APF or DSDM that support iterative delivery.
2, you have to leverage data-driven tools and technologies, your AI, IoT, predictive analytics, for those real-time insights and micro-adjustments.
And 3, foster a culture of openness, learning, psychological safety, and proactive course correction. The people have to be empowered to change the plan.
And for organizations that do embrace this, they won't just future-proof their projects. They'll strengthen stakeholder trust because they're constantly proving their relevance, and they will consistently deliver high-impact outcomes in this, increasingly unpredictable world.
So if traditional project management is like plotting a fixed course on a static map, ignoring wind and currents, embedded change is sailing with a GPS. It's constantly recalculating for everything that's happening around you. We often focus on maximizing efficiency for the planned project, but here's the final thought. How much value do we sacrifice by not building systems to capture the value of an entirely unforeseen opportunity mid-execution? If you're building your project to hit 99% of its original goal, that's great, but what if the unforeseen opportunity you missed was worth 500% more? Something to think about.